Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the upcoming weather for Azerbaijan, specifically looking at July 2025.
That's right.
And this isn't just your standard forecast check-in.
No, definitely not. We're aiming to connect these, short-term weather events to the much bigger climate story that's playing out there.
Exactly. We've got a range of sources, daily forecasts, yeah, but also big reports from the World Bank, the UN Environment Program.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a stack.
And our mission really is to sift through all that, pull out the key insights, and help you understand the why. Cut through the noise, get to what's important.
And maybe uncover a few surprises along the way.
I think so, yeah. There are definitely some interesting connections to make.
So let's dive right in. The most immediate thing that jumps out is, well, a heat wave.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Baku, July 6th to the 15th, the forecast shows temperatures climbing pretty steadily. What are we actually seeing?
Well, we're starting in the low 30s Celsius, that's low 90s Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
But then it pushes up into the mid-30s C, and there's even a projection, potentially, of hitting 38 Celsius by July 19th.
Wow, 38 C, that's 101 Fahrenheit.
Exactly. And the really crucial part here isn't just the peak number, it's how much higher this is than Baku's usual July average.
Which is normally what?
Typically, highs are around 24 to 29 Celsius, so, mid-70s to low 80s Fahrenheit. This is significantly above that baseline.
Right.
And maybe even more concerning, the nighttime lows aren't offering much relief. They're staying up around 24, 25 Celsius.
So like 76 Fahrenheit overnight, that doesn't let things cool down?
Precisely. That constant heat puts immense stress on people, on infrastructure. You think about the power grid, water resources.
Agriculture, anyone working outside.
Absolutely. It's this sustained nature, this lack of overnight recovery that really marks it as potentially anomalous and, well, severe. It suggests a shift.
A shift. Okay, that's the heat. But then here's something that seemed counterintuitive. July is normally super dry in Baku, right? Like hardly any rain.
That's correct. The average is only about 4.3 millimeters or 0.17 inches for the entire month. Very dry.
But this forecast for July 6th to 9th mentions passing showers, even isolated thunderstorms. How does that fit?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Even these small amounts, maybe just a millimeter per event forecast here.
Tiny amounts.
Yeah, tiny. But seeing them pop up in such a dry month actually signals a really key climate change trend. We're seeing a shift towards more intense but shorter duration rainfall events.
So instead of gentle, prolonged rain, you get these sudden downpours.
Exactly. And that increases risks like flash floods, landslides, especially if the ground is already dry and baked, or in vulnerable areas like mountains or places where forests have been cleared.
And there are strong winds forecasted too.
Yes. For July 6th, winds up to 58 kilometers per hour, which is like 36 miles per hour. That's more than double the average.
So heat, unusual rain, strong winds. Quite the mix.
It really is. Adds another layer of potential disruption.
Okay, so stepping back then, how does this specific forecast window connect to the bigger climate picture for Azerbaijan?
Well, the context is crucial. Azerbaijan already warmed by about 1.3 degrees Celsius by 2010. That's significant.
Right.
And they're seeing more frequent, more intense extreme events, floods, droughts, landslides, just like we're seeing hints of in this short-term forecast.
And isn't the Caspian Sea level also a major issue?
A huge issue.
Yeah.
The shrinking Caspian is a profound consequence of climate change in the region, with really far-reaching effects.
Yeah.
And add to that, projections show Azerbaijan possibly being among the 13 countries globally with the lowest water resources per person by 2025.
Wow. So severe water stress is a major concern.
Definitely. And this leads to a really interesting sort of paradox.
How so?
Well, you have a country whose economy is heavily reliant on exporting fossil fuels.
Right. Oil and gas are huge there.
But at the same time, it's becoming highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, like water stress and extreme weather, that those same fossil fuels contribute to globally.
So they're contributing to the problem, but also facing some of its worst effects.
Exactly. It's this critical dilemma. How do you manage that? How do you adapt and build resilience when your economic engine is tied to the source of the threat? It forces innovation, but it's a huge challenge.
It certainly seems like a massive challenge, and yet they are taking steps, aren't they? I mean, hosting COP29 in 2024, that's a major international climate conference.
It is, yeah. Shows level of engagement. And there are practical projects, too, like that $35 million Green Climate Fund project you mentioned.
Right, focused on strengthening early warning systems for multiple hazards.
Mm-hmm. And installing automated weather stations, even in what the source is called the liberated territories, to get better data coverage.
So definitely a move towards being more proactive, not just reacting after disasters hit.
Absolutely. That shift is clear, from reactive to proactive risk reduction.
Yep.
But there's a but. A critical challenge that came up in the sources is, well, accessibility. Apparently, the official meteorological websites, where real-time warnings might be posted, aren't always easily accessible to the public.
Oh, so you can have the best warning system technologically, but if people can't easily get the warning in time.
Precisely. Effective public safety depends just as much on dissemination, getting the word out quickly, through all channels people use: TV, radios, social media.
Not just relying on people actively seeking out a specific government website.
Right. That's a crucial operational bottleneck that needs addressing for these systems to actually save lives and property effectively.
So quite a complex picture. We've seen the immediate forecast, the links to broader climate shifts, the national efforts, and also these practical hurdles.
Yeah, it really shows how tangled it all is. The specific weather, the long-term climate trends, the policy responses, the practicalities of keeping people safe.
It really does.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, maybe a question for you, the listener. When you consider these extremes that are forecasted, and you know about the challenges with getting official warnings out in real time, what kinds of innovative strategies or maybe community-level actions do you think are most critical? How can we make sure everyone stays informed and safe as these climate events potentially get worse? Something to think about.